Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
And so that was what I did. It was my first time going to a seminar in my entire life. And I just go and I fell in love with Mike all around, not just the stuff he was teaching, but the fact that he was very direct, very hard, very like, there's no foo-foo, like get your energy going. It was like, you're gonna come in, you're gonna do the work, and if you do the work, eventually you'll win.
Yeah.
And my simple brain could understand that.
Yeah, there's nothing warm and fuzzy about Mike.
Yeah.
More of a drill sergeant.
Correct. So that was the path into real estate.
Gotcha. I met his daughter the other day.
Which one?
I don't remember her name, to be honest with you. She
Okay.
lives in Vista.
Oh yeah.
But I was walking a property that was a big time fixer, and the lady across the street walked out of her house and she said, "I'm sorry for asking this, but are you supposed to be here?" And I said, "Yeah, I am. I'm considering buying this, right?" And she said, "Okay, well, I hope you buy it, and I hope you're my new neighbor." And I said, "Well, I wouldn't be your new neighbor. We'd flip it, that kind of thing." And she said, "Do you have a second?" I said, "Sure." She goes, "Step into my office." So I come over and we get in, we sit down. She takes out 2 folding chairs. We unfold them, we sit down in her garage. I help her unload her stuff. So she had some heavy bags, gardening stuff out of her trunk. So I helped her with that because she couldn't lift it, And she said, "My neighbor across the street is the daughter of a world famous real estate coach." And I said, "Oh yeah, Mike Ferry." From what she said, right? I said, "Oh, Mike Ferry." And she goes, "Yeah, Mike Ferry, yeah."
That's
About
great.
that time, here she comes. Literally, Mike Ferry's daughter comes walking up, and she goes, "Hey, he knows your dad." Right? And she kind of rolls her eyes and she's like,
There you go again.
everybody does, right? Type thing, right? Her husband was in Israel at the time. He worked for Mike, still worked for Mike.
Ron Conan.
So he was actually in Israel at the time, maintaining something out there and taking care of Mike Ferry interests out there and that kind of thing.
That's
That wild.
right.
So small world, man.
It is.
It's tiny. So you go to Mike Ferry.
Mm-hmm.
You love how direct he is, right? Did he make you do any push-ups? I'm joking.
No.
So,
no
right,
push-ups.
but right? He's like a drill sergeant, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you go to Mike Ferry, you get fired up, then what?
Then go back and quit the job. Mind you,
The cell phone job.
Yeah. Mind you, at the time, I probably had like maybe $6 or $7 grand left in the bank.
Right.
And I signed up for $1,000 a month coaching
Yeah, you
with the
did.
company.
Yeah, you did.
So I went back and quit and said, I'm just going to do real estate full time.
Yeah.
My business partner, Oliver, he's a little more, he's smarter than I am with making quick decisions. He's like, "You go get things started, I'll stay here."
Yeah.
And then eventually he came over as well. And
We all needed Oliver in our life, by the way.
yes, absolutely. So that was kind of the beginning, and did that for a while.
Yeah.
Didn't have any success at all my first year.
Wow.
Because I was just pretending to do everything I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I remember one day my coach at the time, he said, "Sam, why are you doing this?" I was
Yeah.
like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I mean, why are you doing real estate? Why are you getting on these calls and just lying to me and telling me?"
Fundamentally, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And for me, the answer was really easy. I said, "Oh, it's because I want to get a CLS AMG,
Okay.
Mercedes."
Okay.
And he's like, "Then go get it."
Yeah.
He's like, because you have to understand that 98% of people do just enough to hit their means.
Right.
So if you go get it, you'll have the pressure to make sure you can make the payments.
Right. Burn the ships, baby.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I go to Mercedes. Don't get
qualify.
approved.
Yeah, right.
But I walk across the street to Lexus, and Lexus did approve me for a GS 300. The payments were like $600 a month, which for me was, biggest car payment ever.
Sure.
And that kind of gave me the accountability, and never missed a payment, but still struggled. And mind you, the whole time I'd never gone to any other sales training, like no Tom Ferry, no Buffini, none of that stuff.
Right.
And I just stuck with it. And then eventually started to kind of pick up my stride, and started to have a little bit of success.
Yeah, it does take time.
It does.
It does take time. You have to work through all that stuff, right? A lot of us call it trash, right? It's stuff that's built up over the years, and you're trying to work through it. Not everybody gets into this business completely clear-eyed.
No way.
Right? They get in and they get going, and it's such a shock to the system. It's not like mortgage. It's similar, but it's not like mortgage. It's not like selling cell phones, right? It's a completely different deal. And you're literally on your own. You're self-employed.
Yep.
Okay? And you've got a coach, but if your coach and you, right, if you're not like completely in sync and complete accountability, like real honest 100% accountability, it's rough, man. It is not easy to get going. But so eventually you get going. Eventually you start having some success.
Yeah, eventually I figured out ultimately the numbers game.
Yeah.
Right. I digested all the scripts. I was equipped.
Yeah.
And started to have a little bit of success. And at the time I was helping a lot of people buy all these foreclosed homes, and then watching them flip them for profit.
Huge profits, yeah.
Watching them buy them and hold them and create really good cash flow. And I thought, Oliver and I were like, we're on the wrong side of this equation.
Right.
So then we went to some seminars on flipping homes.
Okay.
And kind of understood the concept that you can really do this with no money out of pocket.
Right. There
So
are ways to do it. Yeah.
there are ways. I mean, and today, fast forward, we buy businesses with no cash out of pocket, right?
Right.
There's always a way. So anyways, we jump into that and start flipping properties, and still had a license and was doing transactions, but our main focus was flipping.
And this is when?
This is 2000, about 8-ish.
Okay.
2008, 9,
Okay.
10, 11. We
Yeah.
were doing it for about 3-ish years.
Yeah.
So we found a niche, doing really well with short sales and foreclosures, and ended up, flipping a good amount of homes, and did that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of at the same time what got me into the speaking circuit,
Gotcha.
because a lot of the flippers were like, well, how are you guys doing this? Hired a speaking coach, and he helped us, create our speaking business, so to speak. So as we were doing the investing, we also ran a company teaching people how to do what we did.
There you go.
And I always wanted to be a speaker. I remember the first time I met Mike at that first event.
Yeah.
I went up to him and I said, "You don't know this yet, but one day I'm going to be speaking on your stage."
Yeah.
And he said, "Go worry about selling real estate first."
Yeah. That's a Mike response. Yeah.
So then the market starts to kind of correct again.
Yeah.
And the flipping business, it still was there, but it was harder and tougher. And now everyone's really starting to get into it.
True. Yeah. There felt like a flood.
Yes.
Right. That just
Yeah. And I was in a mastermind. You'll find one of the biggest common denominators of all the cool and great things that have happened in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
For us, it's tied back to, outside of what's in ourselves, me and Oliver, all of it points back to the seminars, the coaches, the masterminds, and the books.
Yep.
Right. That was my formal education.
Yeah.
Right. All my friends were getting, their degrees.
Law degrees, medical degrees,
yeah.
all that stuff.
They were in school. I was in seminars and masterminds.
Right.
So the market's starting to correct. We're in a mastermind called Collective Genius. Still around, one of the best real estate investing masterminds out there. Everybody, we were like the youngest in the group.
Right.
And everyone starts talking about how they're going to start getting into multifamily and buy and hold and residual income and all these things. And we're like, dude, that sounds great, but we really don't have the means to really go into that. So I remember sitting in that mastermind, I was like, man, what can I do that's in real estate that can help me create, reoccurring revenue, kind of be different, be a little bit ahead of the curve. And I built a big database of relationships with realtors, because that's how I was getting properties to buy. I said, man, I bet you we could start 100% commission brokerage. I bet you that we could probably get a few hundred agents and come in with all the things that we learn in all these seminars and these masterminds. And maybe 2 weeks later, Oliver and I go to our third partner who still wanted to keep doing what we were doing. And we said, love you, mean it, but we're out.
Right.
And then we started Big Block Realty.
Wow. Yeah. That's cool. And what year was that?
That was we actually opened up shop towards the end of 2012.
Right.
So
I thought it was 2012.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you start Big Block Realty, 100% shop.
Yep.
Right. Then what happens?
Then I found myself in the same position I was when I was an agent.
Yeah. Now it's fun.
I got to prospect again. But
what is this? Yeah.
I'll tell you that it was the right time.
Yeah, it was.
And it was the right offer, kinda. But back then, brokerages were not prospecting to recruit.
Yeah.
At least to the degree they are today.
Correct.
If you're an agent with a license, you're getting 2 or 3 recruiting calls a day.
Yeah.
Back then, there wasn't a lot of that happening.
That's correct. I agree with that.
So, kind of built out our business model and our offering and all that, and me and Oliver just started recruiting ourselves.
Yeah.
And started dialing, and we probably in our first 6 months maybe recruited about 20-ish agents, probably less, maybe about 10. And I remember there was this imposter syndrome thing happening in my head, because at the time I'm 29 and I'm recruiting 39, 49, 59, 69, 79-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm here telling them why they should work for our company.
Right.
So there was a lot of mental stuff and the drunk monkey and the imposter syndrome.
That's a real thing.
It's real. I mean,
I've lived it.
And it really never goes away, because
No.
if you're doing what you're supposed to do, which is continuing to step up your game, you're always going to get into a new galaxy.
Yeah, a new
right?
place where you haven't been, and you don't feel like you belong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then when you finally get through that, then you're in a new sphere, a new galaxy. And so if you're not every few years feeling the imposter syndrome,
Something's wrong.
then you're not really trying.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
So started recruiting, and it was going okay. And I remember talking to my business partner saying, I'm about to turn 30, I'm about to get married. I'm gonna give this thing one more year, because I gotta go live like the kids I saw growing up.
Yeah.
And I read a book, 4 Disciplines of Execution. And I just took that and kind of built our new day-to-day not business plan, but our day-to-day action plans and how we're going to hold each other accountable and what our daily goals, weekly goals, and I really structured more of let's call and recruit.
Mm-hmm.
And there was consequences, and all of a sudden, all of us were on the same page, and then we decided to hire telemarketers to work in-house.
Mm-hmm.
To just start dialing and recruiting for us.
Yeah, they called everybody. You know how I know that?
How did you know that?
They called me.
Nice.
They
and
called
you
me.
never came in for an appointment?
And I'm like, and I own a Keller Williams office with 180 agents in it, and you guys are calling me to recruit me. And I never came in for an interview, by the way.
That's funny.
But I'll tell you this, the more you called me, and this is something you can use, the more you called me, the more I started thinking, I probably should go talk to him.
Yeah.
And then you and I had an opportunity a few years later to meet, and we actually hung out for a day in that advisory council for Papa Doug,
right?
Manchester at the Union Tribune.
For the Union Tribune, yeah.
That was a cool experience.
That was.
It was really neat. So okay, go back. I apologize. So by the way, my dad told me, he's like, listen, you need to get comfortable with the fact that you're going to be starting over for the rest of your life. The rest of your life, you're going to be starting over. So you need to get used to the fact that you're going to have this same uncomfortable feeling that you have when you started junior high, when you started the first day of high school, whatever, right? First day of whatever job, okay?
It's never going to go away.
Yeah, my dad, who was a body man for 60 years, still is, right? 79 years old, still a body man, still out there, beating metal, right? My dad is one of the smartest people I know, right? And doesn't have a college degree, doesn't even have a high school diploma, but he is one of the smartest people you'll ever meet in your life. I mean, just the guy is super intelligent.
Yeah.
And he told me he was 18. I was 18 years old at the time. He looked at me. He said, "Right now you're looking at me like I'm an idiot, but one of these days I'm going to be a genius in your eyes." And I had to call him a couple of decades ago and tell him he made genius.
He made genius. This is it okay if we get a little bit off the story path for a moment? Because this is so important. The environment you put yourself in, to me, is the beginning and end of all success.
I agree.
Right? Another way to look at it is checking your thermostat, right? Like, if some of my friends will look at me and they'll say, #life goals. Like, they're killing it, he's got it figured out. I hang out with Roland Frazier that we were just talking about. I hang out with him and I'm like, I suck.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not nearly doing as much as I can.
Spend 3 minutes with Jay Abraham and you feel the exact same way.
That's it, right?
I mean, unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And I say that saying, like, a lot of people think that if I just get to there, if I just finally make $100,000 a year, or if I finally get out of debt, or if I finally make $1 million a year, like, once I get there, then
I'll have it made.
And all the feelings are I'm not going to have anxiety. I'm not going to feel stressed.
Won't be,
I'm not going to have imposter syndrome. I'm not going to be worried about. No, it never goes away.
Life will be cake.
Because then, the old saying, more money, more problems. Yeah. It's real.
Yeah.
Because now you're worried about losing it, and you're worried about how to get to the next level.
That's it.
And
you still have the imposter syndrome. So you still you still have that bundle of feelings. The difference is, I think, and you can tell me if you think I'm wrong, the more you get that imposter feeling and force yourself into that position, the better equipped you become emotionally to handle it.
Yes.
Right? Because you're like, hey, I've been here before.
Yeah.
Right? I experienced this before, and here's how I dealt with it. Okay? It's like the repetition's a mother of skill thing, right? The Tony Robbins deal. Okay? I really truly believe that if you continue to strive and you continue to get yourself in that place where you feel that imposter syndrome, over time you get better and better and better at it. It's like they talk about. It's not the destination, it's who you become when you get there, That's a big deal.
It's so true, and it's now you've coached a lot of agents.
Yeah.
I've coached a lot of agents. I consult for other companies. And there's always something in your life that makes what you're supposed to do to grow your business hard.
Yeah.
I don't have time because I have a full-time job.
Right.
I have this, I have that. It's hard.
I don't have enough money. I don't have enough capital to go out and do the multi-level or the multi-family thing, right?
Right.
So I don't, you know what I mean? It's like there's always something. Perfect example. You had $6,000 or $7,000 in the bank, and you go out and hire a coach, Mike Ferry, for $1,000 a month, right?
Yep.
What? Okay. You're struggling. Your coach comes to you and says, "Go get your Mercedes." You go to Mercedes, they don't approve you. You go across the street and you get a Lexus.
Yep.
But it's $600 a month, which you know you couldn't afford.
Nope.
Right? But you bid it off, and you burnt. It's the same thing as burning the ships, right? It's like, I don't have an option. I'm either gonna make this work, or I'm gonna learn.
That's 100% it. And you know, I don't know who told me this forever ago when I was making all these BS excuses. He said, Sam, when it's hard, it's the perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
Because when you can figure out how to do it when it's hard, then for the rest of your life, it's easy.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah. You do the hard stuff now, so the rest of your life is easier.
Yeah. And then when new hard stuff comes up, you'll remember, oh yeah, I know how to do it when it's hard.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
So yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. No, it's okay, but that's what I'm talking about. It's that experience, right? And that muscle. It's a muscle, dude. It's an emotional muscle. The emotional muscle of, I have this imposter syndrome. I felt it before. I've been in a place where I had to do the hard stuff. I've been in a place where I didn't have the money. I've been in a place where I didn't have the capital. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like all that is something that you work that muscle enough, you become great.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a big deal.
It's
a big part of this.
It's, you know, you show me a successful person, and I'm going to show you a person that's gotten their ass kicked.
Oh, guaranteed.
More than you could ever imagine.
Guaranteed.
A person that's probably one of the more coachable people. And, you know, I always say, like, to succeed, you have to be a special type of crazy.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is crazy enough to believe that you can do what you set out to do.
That's it.
Because the world, your friends, your mom who's trying to keep you safe, whatever it is, they're going to give you advice.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the advice is, oh, this won't work, honey, because of this. Or
you can't do this because you'll get hurt potentially.
Or how about go get a real job and have a 401k.
A salary.
All of that stuff.
Right.
And, you know, there's a difference between advice and counsel.
Yeah.
Advice everybody has and oftentimes isn't worth much.
Right.
Counsel is talking to someone that has achieved where you want to be and learning from them and quieting the noise of the news to mom to sometimes even your spouse, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of advice out there, but if you put yourself in the right rooms, align yourself with the right people, you start to think differently. And
well, you get counsel from mentors.
Correct.
Okay? And those are the people you want to be listening to. Those are the environments you want to put yourself in.
100%. And that's, I mean, I still to this day, I spend at least 3 months out of the year in masterminds, you know, with the council, because it's how your brain starts to extend and you learn and etc.
Yeah, it's who you associate with.
Absolutely.
It's that simple. And who you listen to, right? And who you let in. And by the way, what you let in, let's be honest, what you let in is your fault.
Yep.
You're responsible for it.
Yep.
Right? So the people that spend all this time every day letting all this programming in, right? Because we have so much coming at us all the time. The people who let all that in, it's their fault.
It is.
Literally.
Yeah. Hate to sound offensive.
Hate to sound like Mike Ferry.
But everything is your fault.
It really is.
Like, yes, sometimes
you have control
you
over
get dealt a bad hand.
Yeah.
But other people get dealt bad hands too. Like
exactly.
You are where you are today because of the decisions you made yesterday.
You're going to be judged by how you pick yourself up after you get knocked down.
Absolutely.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the story. So 2012, you open Big Block Realty. You're going to get married, right? You're 30. You're going to get married. You tell all. I'm going to give this another year.
Yep.
Okay. You're at 20 agents, right?
You just about. And mind you, at the time, I had to build websites and do like marketing for hire for other companies to pay my bills.
Okay.
So I mean, it wasn't.
So Big
like,
Block's not supporting you to the place
Big
where
Block's costing money.
I got you. So you're feeding it. It's an alligator. Okay.
And we never got funding. We just bootstrapped and had the pig-headed determination and just kept going.
Right.
So then we bring on 3 or 4 recruiters.
Okay.
That had never had real estate experience, which was important for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring them in and teach them, how we want it done and
not have to reprogram. Yeah.
Correct. And it took a few months to kind of get that moving. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, and this was before there was Calendly and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I had one of those big calendars that Title gives.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.